I was going to say that perhaps the cloud cover helped out Pato O'Ward, but I don't want to shortchange Pato O'Ward because that was a heck of a lap. Take me through how that car felt.
Yeah, the car has been great. Hats off to these Arrow McLaren Chevy guys and gals. You know, I was super comfortable in practice one, and yeah, it wasn't really scaring me or anything going into qualifying. I was confident and happy with what I had under me, and it was just all about going out there and executing.
Nashville just feels like a Pato O'Ward town because it's fun, it's exciting, but when it comes down to it, there's business to be had as well. Your thoughts on this race, this track?
Yeah, this is it's definitely a track that requires some a big old sack here, because it's definitely you need confidence here, and you need a car to be able to take it to the limit. So we're happy with what we have. Obviously the points are awarded on Sunday, but I've never won a race from pole. That's on my to-do list this weekend.
How about it? Pato O'Ward, and I think it's an apt description. I think what it takes to do well around here. Mark James, Davey Hamilton, final tune-up before we go racing tomorrow. He is your pole sitter for tomorrow's Orchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix, presented by Will Scott. And Davey, what a run it was.
What a really good run it was, and always a surprise. Right when we think David Malukas, you know, runs a great lap, think he's going to be on the pole 2 weekends in a row, there's that one guy that shows up. Last week, Plo. This week, a great run by Pato O'Ward by a mile an hour, by the way. Didn't go just a little bit quicker. He did a really good run, has a lot of confidence going into the weekend. Obviously, you heard what his goals are, Mark. He has not won from the pole yet, which is something I didn't realize. So I'm glad he brought that up, and we'll keep an eye on that and see if he can pull it off tomorrow.
A couple of 15-minute sessions for the drivers. The field split in half, and what we're trying to do is get things to grip up so we can go racing tomorrow.
Yeah, and so one thing that they're doing is they put some, I just talked to Ari Senior, he actually put the lines in the racetrack down there to try to make sure everybody goes above those dotted lines to try to get that second groove rubbered in. I was here a few weeks ago, giving some rides, doing some media stuff with a two-seater. I decided when it was all done to go out and make some laps of my own. I wanted to try that second line out, so I went upstairs. Didn't want anybody in there with me just in case. But I tell you what, it felt good. The track was actually a little bit smoother up there. It seemed like it had plenty of grip, which was surprising because it's so white, it doesn't feel like it should have. And another fact is Firestone, I guess, with they have a tool that measures grip of the racetrack, and they said that the third line is actually has more grip than any part of the racetrack. But being brave enough to go to that third line, especially once the green's out after a few laps, is going to be for the brave. No question about it, and it could happen, but I was very interested to see that that's where their Firestone's tool says that the most grip is in that third lane in the corners.
Autumn-like weather in Milwaukee 1 week ago, but we're a far cry from that. Let's get the specifics on the conditions for this final tune-up from Michael Young.
Well said. A very nice day, Mark James. Good afternoon, race fans. It is 88 degrees. That's the ambient temperature right now, and that was the expected high at 3 o'clock this afternoon. That's what we reached, but the track temperature really hasn't increased from earlier this afternoon when we had qualifying for both Indy Next by Firestone and the NTT IndyCar Series. Still sits at 115, obviously a concrete track, not absorbing much more of that heat from the sunshine, but it has got rather toasty out here. But as we had mentioned during the qualifying session, a breeze has really kicked in coming through the turn 3-4 area, blowing across the track. So that really helps to give these fans a little bit of a relief and makes things a little bit tricky for the drivers as well. But certainly a beautiful day here in Lebanon, Tennessee.
I know on street courses, Davey, we make mention of the fact that on some of those more pronounced, more wider concrete patches that you see that combined with the asphalt, it's indicative of the characteristics of a street course. I'm curious, though, with this thing being entirely concrete, describe the difference in the grip level and how different the grip feels, or does it feel that much different?
Yeah, you know, it doesn't feel a lot different. I'll be really honest with you. Sometimes there's certain concrete, for example, you know, we've always walked on sidewalks and we've seen concrete that's laid in driveways and so forth. You see the slick concrete, and just like your garage floor, for example, very slick, or very smooth and very slick. Then you see like a sidewalk where it's rough and almost like they run a rake through it. Well, the more porous the concrete is, the more grip there is for these cars. Now what happens is a lot of times this track was bumpy. When they come and grind it, it makes it like your garage floor. It makes it really slick, and it makes it really hard to get the rubber down and these cars to handle. And with the grinding on this track to make it smoother, it has that, you know, the transition amongst that smooth concrete and the rough concrete where there's more grip, so it does make it hard.
Armstrong, Erickson starting a little further back along with some others. Connor Daly one, Regis VK another. I think from some of the comments that we gleaned from qualifying, because we talked to each one of the 27 qualifiers, some of these teams scratching their head a little bit at how much this track and the condition changed from the morning practice session to qualifying.
Yeah, you know, and it's going to change again because the Indy Next cars, as a matter of fact, we just watched right there. That is Joseph Newgarden. He went in that third groove. He did go in that third groove just now, following Colton Herta. Now he's back down to the very bottom groove right now, but he tried the third groove down on 1 and 2, and just to see what that grip level is. Colton's kind of doing the same. You want to be above in that second groove, or they're going to make you park it. But it's the best for everybody to get it rubbered up, no question about it up there, as we see a lot of wheel-to-wheel racing. So it's going to rubber up better and better and better as the weekend goes on. There's no rain coming. It's not going to wash off. So by the time the race comes tomorrow, there'll be a full session this afternoon or this evening still, plus the Indy Next race before these Indy cars get back on.
And let's welcome Jake Query.
Roger Yasukawa is a guy that we are very familiar with, obviously, not only from his time in driving in the NTT IndyCar Series, but well documented the fact of your long business relationship with Alex Palou. But Roger, I want to get to that. This is a guy that you have been on board with since before he came to this series. He was racing in Japan, and I thought it was interesting some of the things that you saw that gave you the foresight that this is somebody who could become the dominant driver in this series that he is. What was it you saw, let's say, some 6 years ago out of Alex Palou?
So first thing, obviously, I met him in Japan in 2019. Obviously, at the time, I didn't know much about him, but he was racing in Super Formula as well as in Super GT Series. And Super Formula, it's actually a great series in Japan. Those cars are probably, I would say, the second quickest car to Formula One. And, you know, I guess his natural speed in that series showed me that, okay, this kid's super fast. But what really impressed me the most is when he came to Super GT. Super GT these days is a rare series where you have multi-tire manufacturers involved. So at the time, we had let's say a semi-factory program to do some developments with the tire engineers, and his ability to really adapt, to learn how to manage the tires, try to provide feedback, all that stuff. I mean, I think that was huge. But more importantly, I think I was very impressed when he was driving the wet. He was so fast. I haven't seen anybody go fast in a rain condition, and that was super impressive.
In addition to that, it would seem as though that would kind of parlay into, in this particular series, the narrative has always been for people within Chip Ganassi Racing that he is so poised and that he just doesn't get rattled in adverse situations, even though there haven't been a lot of those, obviously. But let's go back to his early racing time in this series, when there was financial backing question and long-term stability question. Did you see any doubt in him from within himself?
Definitely not. I mean, obviously, you know, he was always had the confidence. I knew he was very good. I think the first year, I think we were fortunate to have some support from Team Go to be able to get us to Del Coin Racing. But then from the second year, we had a talk with Mike Hull, I would say during the late summer, when we were trying to figure out what we're going to do in 2021. And the rest is history. So again, he's proven himself that what he can get, what he could do actually in the top equipment, top team. I know he's super appreciative of the support that he's been getting throughout, and I think that speaks for itself as far as the results that he's delivered.
You are his manager now. Of course, in the silly season, his name has been linked often to rides and opportunities overseas and leaving this series. Alex Palou will be where in the 2026 racing season?
Alex will be in the IndyCar. I mean, he loves the series. He has a home now. He's a young family. He loves the team, you know. I think the 10-car team is so tight together. I think I've also had some piece in helping him establish his off-track member, let's say. I think the racing side is great. Obviously, the private part of the lifestyle is also important. I think he's got all those components together now where he could focus on racing. So he loves what he's doing here. I think he wants to stay here to, you know, obviously rewrite a lot of the records, which is obviously unfortunate we couldn't get to the 10 wins this year, but hopefully we could try to do it next year.
Okay, lastly, do you have your eye on the next Alex Palou as well, as you continue to look at young talent, maybe internationally, that could come and have equal success in this series?
you know, I think as a former driver, I would like to see, and you know, every opportunity I get to try to help a true talented driver, of course I would love to do it. Tough thing is, you know, I think it's also development. You have to look at the long-term pictures and work with the driver, so it's not easy. If there's the right one, the right fit, happy to help, but right now I'm focused on Alex.
Good to know that we'll see both you guys again next year here. Always good to see you at the track.
Awesome, thank you.
Roger Yasukawa. Mark?
2003 to 2010, Roger Yasukawa competed in the NTT INDYCAR series, and I think he was a driver that a lot of his fellow competitors had a lot of respect for.
Yeah, he's fun to race with. Number one, he did a good job. He didn't have that win, but he did a really good job, and obviously he's doing a really good job as driver manager right now. So finding some talent and having that opportunity to go around the world and pick out guys that seem to have that talent and do really good. And obviously, he has the best guy right now for sure.
Well, I think what it boils down to, that conversation, great stuff with him and Jake Query. I think as much as anything, I mean, it's one thing, and Davey, you've seen it over the years. There's a lot of raw talent out there. There's a lot of talent out there. But when you combine the mental acuity with that talent, that's how you end up with a guy like Alex.
Yeah, and it's like you said, there is a system that you have to go through. Even though, you know, you see a kid that may be really, really good, he still needs to go through the steps and the proper channels to make it to the top. You can't just throw him into the deep end because he may fail. So sometimes that takes some time, some effort. It takes really sometimes a lot of getting beat. Sometimes that takes a lot of humility, but you know, after time, it gets you there.
So we're about 18 minutes to go in this particular session. Just a couple of minutes remaining for this group. And interesting to note, because they are running that high line. Speeds are down overall a little bit. 198.145 and 195.160 for Dixon and Pillow. We also should make mention that the tire compound that they're using for this particular portion, Davey, is not the same compound that they'll be using for the race. Yeah,
that's right. These are just some tires that they've used somewhere. They need to get rid of, had oversupply of them. So they put them on these cars, and I try to keep track of them because that's what we run on the two-seaters right now. We run these high-line tires, and so you don't know whose car you got, how many laps they have on them, how much they've been abused. But that's exactly right. Firestone, they're really, you know, smart about doing this because they're not wasting the tire. The tires go into good use. They use every tire that they make. They just don't throw them away when the season ends.
A couple of good stories in the first 5 rows. Nolan Siegel, all eyes on him after his disastrous finish in Milwaukee. He qualified for the Insider Row number 4
You know,
tomorrow.
talk about the education, the humiliation. He has went through that, Mark. He's been through, like, making the mistakes. He doesn't blame anybody else but himself.
Right.
I mean, he takes it all on himself and knows what a great opportunity he has there. And you know what, though? He learns from it. He gets better and better. And he gets mad at nobody but himself. And then he goes to school and he figures out what he has to do better. Every time that he puts a wheel wrong or right, he learns from that. And, man, what a great qualifying he had to run today.
Joining him in that row, another good story, good qualifying run at the top 10 for Kiffin Simpson.
I agree. You know, we talked to Kiffin, didn't know where that time was going to put him, but he had a really good time there. We talked to his teammates, Alex Pillow and Scott Dixon, and car owner Chip Ganassi. They're happy. And I tell you, we really watched Kiffin come through the ranks and coming through this year on how much improvement. He got a podium this year, which I think is pretty darn impressive. And what a great job he's been doing.
Callum Eilert with a good qualifying effort as well. I should say Siegel actually qualified on the inside of row number 4. Kiffin's on the outside of row 5. Callum Eilert on the inside of row 5. He hopes to have a good race car, and he's going to need it because he has a 9-position grid penalty.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this kid, he has a lot of talent. We've known him for a long time, been with several teams, and now he's with that Prima team. He's getting the job done. He's got, like I said, had several top 10s. So the team is showing some speed, showing some promise. We just don't know what their future brings. And we know they have the money. We know that they've done everything correctly. There's nothing second-rate about anything they have. They're from their transporters, the cars, the pit equipment, the hospitality. Everything is absolutely spot on, first class, the best you could do. But they need some additional funding. I think they'd like to find some help. They spent a lot of money doing this. There's no sponsors on the side of that car, so they need some help on that side to try to, you know, keep this ball rolling.
Dixon, Pillow, Lundgaard, Schwartzman, Herta, McLaughlin, Kirkwood, Erickson, Armstrong, VK, Ferrucci, Daly, Abel, and Rahal, the 14 drivers in this particular group, and you will see The rest of them exit their pit box, while the group that's out there now will be asked to come in, and they will take that wait-and-see approach until we do the all-skate. Jake Query.
And watching the car of Marcus Armstrong that has come into his pit stall here, the Roots Machine Sirius XM, of course, also a subsidiary sponsor for that Meyer-Shank Racing car. But let's talk about Marcus Armstrong. Mark, obviously, we know now that he is solidified with this team along with Felix Rosenqvist, who I think you would say had a really good year. And Armstrong himself would tell you that it's been a good year for that team and those two drivers solidifying with one another. But that's not to say that he was overall happy with the qualifying effort. It was a good run for Felix Rosenqvist in qualifying for this race tomorrow, but Armstrong was very open about the fact that there flat out was disappointment, and that is going to necessitate for this practice session for them to simply dial in that 66 machine. I think the balance was just simply off on the qualifying run, but then again, things become different when you start to factor in all of the traffic that would take place here on this track. So this is perhaps a very important session over the next hour or so for that Marcus Armstrong car.
Yeah, and what's interesting, Davey, is they would really, quite frankly, I mean, I think they all understand the significance and the importance of trying to get this track rubbered in to improve the overall product and help their strategy and their ability to run. But with some of those drivers, and as befuddled as they were in terms of what kind of race car they were going to have for race day, I think they'll be happy when the next 13 minutes or so evaporate and they get out there and take care of business.
Yeah, and we'll see. You know, they're learning from this high line. You know, they're still running really good speeds. And the majority of them that 192 range, still, you know, pretty darn fast up there. So it'll be very interesting to see when they go out for that final warm-up to see, watch them play with both lanes.
Let's hear from Brian Barnhart.
Yeah, Brian, calling the shots for Christian Lundgaard. One heck of a qualifying round. Of course, Pato on the pole. You guys sit on the inside of row number 2. Assess this season, because I think when we step back, I think we're looking at a future champion in Christian Lundgaard.
Well, we're really proud of the progress, that's for sure. With Christian joining the 7 Velo Chevy for the first time this year, to come off with 6 podiums with him going into the final race and see the progress we've made on ovals. We got a shot at Dixie for 3rd in the points. We're going to give our best run at that tomorrow. We're really proud. Pato secured P2. And I think Christian's done a great job helping push him to improve performance, and we got a couple of future champions.
You've worked with so many championship drivers. When did you start to feel it click with him and this team coming over this year?
Pretty fortunate with gelling really quickly. I think Long Beach was a good one, and Barber, I thought, was a little bit of a turning point for us too. So it's been going pretty well. We just want to keep that momentum. We had good progress at Milwaukee last week, good progress in qualifying here today, and just what we've seen right now, he's got a good race car, and we're hoping we can perform well tomorrow.
Quickly, the alternate tires, your thoughts on them and the longevity that they may have, and what is Christian telling you?
We're going to get a better read here. You're just doing the high line right now. He's saying it's very similar to racetrack and tires to last year, which it should be. It is the same tire compound and construction, so anticipate them being about the same. I think the Reds will have some deg to them. Probably not as good a long run tire as the primaries, so probably be about like it was last year.
Appreciate the time as always. We'll let you get back to practice.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Always a pleasure to talk to Brian Barnhart, race strategist for Christian Lundgaard.
Speeds ranging from a low of 183 miles per hour for Louis Foster up through 188. Actually, Louis picked the pace up a little bit and jumped into that 188 range. Devlin DeFrancesco at 190. Joseph Newgarden at 193.19. 191 miles per hour for Rosenqvist, Malukas, we should say. To 192 for Armstrong, Erickson, Kirkwood, McLaughlin, Colton Herta, and Robert Schwartzman. Lundgaard, 193.227. Pato Award, 194.072. Alex Palou at 195.160. Scott Dixon, again, fastest of this particular session, 198.145. Little doubt, Davey, that we'll take a slight break after we get this second group wrapped up, and they'll get those cars prepped and ready for that final 1-hour practice session, and we should see speeds go up a little bit.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely see them go up. I'm just curious to see how many guys say, hey, that outside line. I think the bump in turn 4 is actually better on the outside than it is on the bottom from what I felt in the 2-seater. And then I'd like to see maybe Connor Daly or somebody start this race. Don't be surprised if they don't try a 3 wide on the start of these races.
About 10 minutes remaining in this session, Jay Query.
Larry Foyt is awaiting for Santino Ferrucci that will arrive shortly and get out in that number 14 car. Let's talk first off just about the overall qualifying effort between the two. We'll begin with David Malukas. We were just talking about it. Obviously, you've got to be thrilled with what you guys found from a speed standpoint in that 4 car.
Oh, for sure. Great lap by David and great setup by the guys. So I know he's tired of qualifying second, so it'll be nice when he gets that first pole. But yeah, in the 14 car, I think would have been up there as well. We got into the hard limiter a little bit, which really hurts your speed and just hard to recover on the quick qualifying like that. So that's too bad, but I think he's really happy with his car.
Overall, how would you just assess the year in general, in totality, with both of those cars in mind?
Well, it's been good. I mean, definitely the speed has been awesome. Haven't gotten to victory lane yet. Still got one to go, but just little things. We've had our hiccups, but I mean, finishing second and fifth in the Indy 500, showing speed on a lot of different types of tracks. It's a lot to build on for next year.
Larry, obviously I know that anytime you're talking about, you know, an American team and obviously driving in Chevrolet, an American engine manufacturer and 2 American drivers, I know what that means and how you take that to heart with your team. And I walked past earlier today and was able to talk to a gentleman that was one that was wounded in defending this country for the United States Army and now is going to be getting another step in life here in coming back into civilian life. And it's all courtesy of a program you guys are a part of. I'm impressed by that, and I know what it means to you. I wanted to give you a chance to speak about it.
Well, it's been a wonderful program. You know, everybody remembers the livery from the Indy 500 that we've run the last few years, but it's amazing how successful the program has been, how many Americans have come out and donated to Homes for Our Troops, and they're just such a great charity. I mean, not many charities give over 90 cents of every dollar goes directly to these veterans and to these new homes that these severely wounded vets are getting into. So we love being a part of it, and we're going to keep growing the program and exciting stuff for next year.
In terms of next year and the sponsorship that you have to this point in terms of totality for next year, do you feel pretty good about everything you have short of? I know you're always looking for new stuff, right?
For sure, but we should have some exciting announcements within the next month. And yeah, I mean, a lot to build on. Still figuring out everything for next year, but a lot of good momentum carrying into the off season. And no, I'm excited what the future holds.
We always appreciate the time over the course of the season of talking to us, informing race fans as to what's going on with the team. Best of luck for the rest of the weekend.
Always. Thank you so much.
That's Larry Foyt of AJ Foyt Racing. And again, the program he was talking about, we talked about it earlier, a gentleman who is a native of Texas that now is going to be moving here up into Tennessee because of the fact that he is able to get a home courtesy of that program that we're talking about, Homes for Our Heroes. He was injured in 2012, lost his right leg in the United States Army in Afghanistan, and now thanks to this wonderful program that is sponsored and also promoted throughout AJ Foyt Racing, another veteran that will be able to get a long-term home here, try to get that stability coming back into civilian life, guys.
Back-to-back front row starts for David Malukas, Davey, narrowly missing his first career pole. And as I said, and you and I have addressed this over the course of the season, there's no more moral victories, I think, for this organization. I think they're ready to get back to the task of winning races. They're very, very close to doing that.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that they've had the speed, they've had some opportunities, and I know the program is getting better and better. And I think if they could keep those 2 drivers, if that is a possibility, and keep everybody in place that they have, just that next year, just to continue to build on the continuity, I think is very important, right, for sure. And I just seen Will Power try that 3rd groove right there. I don't know if it worked out for him. He did lose a spot right there, but he tried that 3rd groove. So continuity is everything. Confidence is the most. And continuity, the same people, they know what they're doing. They know what they expect. They have confidence in everybody, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, again, we have an opportunity via our multi-screen monitor to get a really good view of the driver and what they're going through as they grip that steering wheel and work their way around this track. And boy, this is not silky smooth by any stretch, is it?
No, it's not. And one thing about the huge bump in turn 4, that's what we talk about, because that is the big the big issue in the track is that big bump. The rest of the track is very rough, but it doesn't try to rip the wheel out of your hand, or hand or jump the car off the ground. So we don't really talk about the rest of the track, how bumpy it really is, just because turn 4 is such a big issue.
Well, I think as you suggest, I mean, there's a right way and a wrong way to approach that. But the reason I think you want to make sure that you're set up to handle that bump no matter the scenarios in terms of your ride height and whatnot is we're getting video right now of cars bouncing all over the place. But boy, it's very, very important to make sure that no matter where you go across that bump that your car's capable of handling.
Yeah, and then this is a really good video shot. Unfortunately, our listeners can't see, but I'm going to explain to them. It has a lot of slow motion pictures of video of the cars going over that bump. And our cars are so low to the ground, hundreds of thousands to the ground to bottom out. They hit that bump, and you can visually see that suspension moving a couple inches. So that is part of the bottom out issue. Ride heights are very, very important. So it's a big bump.
Let's go to Jay Query.
Rinus VeeKay sits out right now outside of his number 18 machine for Dale Coyne Racing. And first off, I got to talk about this because you said it's a Nashville thing. You got a mustache going on. It's a new look for you, right?
Yeah, it's new. It's a crew thing, but not a lot of guys apparently knew. So there's a few of us.
You're the only one with a mustache.
No, there's 2 or 3. At least I'm not on my own. But that was a fun thing. I've done it before. That was more of a Top Gun thing when the new movie came out. But my wife's been pushing me, so there we go. Mustache for the weekend.
You know, it's hard to believe this, Rinus, because it doesn't seem long ago to me that you were a young guy coming up in the ladder series, and now here we are. You're a veteran in this series, and it seems from the outside like you kind of found this stable home within Dale Coyne Racing. Before we get to next season, let's talk about this one. And just overall, your thoughts on the progress and just kind of the gel of this team.
Yeah, I think the way we started, nobody really expected how we were going to do. I didn't know what we're going to do. Every weekend was a new adventure, basically, but we overcame a lot, and we've had an awesome season. I'm tied for my most top 10s in the season right now, and well, this weekend I hope to break it with 8 top 10s in the season.
What area do you look towards at Rinus VeeKay, the driver, and think to yourself that it's the one thing that you still need to improve upon?
I would say 1 lap qualifying pace, road street courses. That's one thing I'm working on, needing to get a little bit better. Racing really is my strong suit, but it really helps when you start, just those few rows further out front.
You are a free agent at the end of this season, effective tomorrow after the race. What is your strategy in terms of next season?
In 2026, or for 2026. I mean, for 2026, I need to do something or make a decision that supports my career in a positive way. So whatever I can do to shine, like I have this year, and if you shine once, you got to keep shining better every next season. So
you anticipate it being in this series?
Oh yes, definitely, yes. INDYCAR is my sole priority and sole focus.
Would you be pleased if it's again with Dale Coyne?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the options. It's a very attractive option. Looking at how this year went, it's a fun group of people. We've had a good time, so it's definitely one of the options, but decision hasn't been made yet, and that'll be the first thing we're thinking about after the race on Sunday.
If you come back next year, more guys might participate in the mustache in Nashville.
That's true. I've had Fu Manchu before, so yeah, I'm happy I've got facial hair so I can shake things up.
There you go. I appreciate it, Rinus. Best of luck to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Rinus VeeKay, Mark.
I'm not so sure the team might not have pulled a fast one on Rinus VeeKay. And just conveniently enough, they all forgot to join in or said they didn't get the message, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. You're right. We'll see what happens. But I agree. I'm not sure about that mustache. I'll be straight up with you. I'm not sure about that. But kind of looks like Freddie Mercury to me with that mustache going on there. But
a rock and roll legend, though.
Yeah, he is a rock and roll legend for sure. But I have to say, he can get the job done. I have a lot of faith in Rinus. I think he's a really good racing driver. I think that he has a big future in this sport. He just needs to have that budget and that team just willing to work with him. And, it's pretty interesting. He's, it's surprising that this could be the most top 10 finishes he has in a year. I didn't realize that either at 10.
Yeah, Navy, gosh, the temptation might be there with a different race team. But, I think that if you pay attention to history and recent history, and there's no explanation for it. But, you know, an idea that looks good may end up not being good.
Yeah.
We look at what happened with Roman Grosjean when he was with Dale Coyne and went to Andretti. Marcus Armstrong with Ganassi and then Andretti. It doesn't always work when you jump ship.
Yeah, it's right. And sometimes it's not your choice. You're just trying to hang on. And I think that's a little bit of Rinus' situation. Although I do feel in this situation, like with Ed, he didn't have a choice.
Right.
Ed made that choice for him, so he had no choice but to have to do something different. So, but in this situation, from talking to Dell and the people, I think they definitely want him back. Question is that second car going to stay the same? Is that going to be an able filled seat, or is that somebody else coming along?
Yeah, that's there's a lot of questions for sure, and you know, the big domino, according to some, continues to be Will Power, but there are also those that have speculated that just as many dominoes could fall, even if Will Power doesn't.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did see a former driver, one that definitely wants to be in this series, meet with a team today. That's Roman Grosjean.
Yeah.
And so he's hunting. I seen him walk in one of the doors. So it looked like he had maybe a manager or a representative with him to try to get back in this series. And that we know he wants to be back in here. Is there a place for him? We'll find out.
You can read as much into the answer as you want, but with all the speculation out there, Michael Young came right out and asked Colton Herta where he would be in 2026, and you just you don't know what the purpose was of the answer when you said, I don't know.
Well, and when Colton, I guess, is a little upset about that question with Michael, but Michael asked the right question. And another thing to defend Colton Herta as well on going to F2 to try to get a super license so he could be a Formula One driver. I feel it's just absurd that INDYCAR does not give you points for a super license. I mean, to me, this is the second most competitive sport.
But that's not the series decision. We want to make that clear.
Yeah, no, it's not the series. No,
Right,
it's FIA. I mean, it's not has nothing to do with it's FIA saying that. And Colton should have a super license. If he wants to go Formula One race, then he's capable of doing it. And if they want to put him over there, but just kind of odd that he doesn't already have a super license, and along with a lot of these other drivers in this series.
Breaking the action before we have the final warm-up session in earnest. So it's time to go trackside, check in with Eric Smith about the INDYCAR Fantasy Challenge driven by Firestone. Here's Michael Young.
Yeah, with Eric Smith. And I just want to give you kudos. Remind me that you had mentioned Christian Rasmussen last weekend. Am I correct in that assumption?
You are 100% correct. Jake and I did discuss Christian Rasmussen, and we said he'd probably come through the field and win, and there he did. Got your passing points on top of it.
For fans that aren't familiar with it, I know it's the last race of the year, but explain what we do in the INDYCAR Fantasy Challenge driven by Firestone.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fantasy football, but except you've got monetary value to it. So you also get passing points. So you don't want to just pick all favorites, because what if they fall back or whatnot. So if you get some drivers that are coming maybe further back in the field and can maneuver their way up, you're going to get passing points to go on with that value. So you get 6 drivers per week, and you can choose them. You get weekly prizes, season-long prizes. So it's not too late. You can still join even for the season finale.
All right, smart guy. Who we picking tomorrow?
You know, first driver I got my eye on is Connor Daly. I talked to him after practice, and he found the issue. Or after practice, after qualifying earlier. They're starting 24th. There's grid penalties, so he's going to move up a spot. He's got the 9th most over points scored this year, so we know he's going to come through the field. Rasmussen again. He's got the 3rd most oval points this season. Only Pato O'Ward and Alex Palou are with him as far as top 10 finishes in every oval. He's starting in the back, too. He's going to come from 25th with Connor, so those are 2 guys to watch. Also looking at Joseph Newgarden, 3rd last year. A little stat you and I know we're talking this morning about. 9 previous races here, the winners have combined 7 Indy 500s and 14 season championships. So Joseph Newgarden's due. I like him for a chance to win tomorrow.
All right, let everybody know how they can get involved, where they go, and the process of becoming a member of this fantasy challenge.
Yeah, the Grid Rival app will have you just click the INDYCAR tab on it, take you right to the game. INDYCAR.com/fantasy also has it on there. It'll give you the link right to the site to make your picks.
All right, who's going to win?
I'm going to go Newgarden or Pato O'Ward.
You only get one.
We'll go Newgarden for the passing points.
I'll take Pato Award. How about that?
Okay, let's do it.
Well done. Eric Smith, the IndyCar Fantasy Challenge, driven by Firestone.
And I would say, Davey, emphatically, that participating in that fantasy challenge will either make you feel like you know a lot about this series or know absolutely nothing
Nothing about it. Yeah, it is. In the day, it's gambling, but not gambling, and it's luck of the draw. Sometimes I love the passing points that they throw in there because that changes everything up. And you know, you pick Connor Daly, like you just talked about, that's going to be starting in the back of the field, and he can get a lot of passing points coming to the front. I do like that concept they do there.
Yeah, and it's just a way to get the fans more involved in the NTT IndyCar series. So for those that might be wondering exactly what that checklist looks like in this final practice session, put your race strategist hat on and your engineering hat on and the driver's hat on.
Well, number one is you want to race. You got to have a good race car. As Pato said, you got to be brave. He said a few different words there, but you got to be brave. This is going to be a hard race. It's a lot of laps, 225 laps. So you're going to have full loads of fuel. You're going to really try to practice on your alternate tire and your primary tire, just see what the degradation is on that to make sure how long those tires can go. You want to make sure your ride heights are good, but just really your downforce levels, just see what you can do in race mode. It's all about race mode right now. Being good to the end of a long runs. How many laps can you go on fuel? How many laps do the tires hang out? I mean, it's a lot of different things that are going to be checked off on this checklist, and that's why they do this final warm-up right before the race.
So again, after the qualifying session, we had Pato Award and David Malukas on the front row, Christian Lundgaard and Alex Palou in row number 2, Dixon, Newgarden, row 3, Nolan Siegel, Scott McLaughlin in row number 4. And as we talked about, Davey, it may have to get a little creative with the pit strategy, although I get the impression you think if you're starting back in the pack a little deeper in the field, sometimes you have some wiggle room and you can maybe choose an alternate strategy, but you don't seem to think there's a lot of wiggle room, do you?
Well, I really don't. I think it's going to be a 3-stop strategy. The question is you have to have run a minimum of 2 laps of each of the alternate tires, which are the tires that are going to wear out just a little bit quicker. That is going to throw a little bit of a trip into the game because there could be a quick yellow. And maybe come in and get those off right off the bat, especially for the guys in the back if they feel the alternate tires better. Get a little splash and go. That obviously, if they don't make it to the fuel number, that turns it into a 4-stop race. But I think if it just a normal standard race, kind of straightforward, I think it'd be one on a 3-stopper.
Well, you heard Jake Query talking with Larry Foyd a few moments ago about the amazing program that they're involved in terms of homes for troops, and had an interview a little bit earlier on today. We're going to get to that in just a few minutes. But speaking of Jake Query, he's busy on pit lane. Jake?
Yeah, Connor Daly has the All-American Rejects are going to be performing here this weekend at Nashville, and Tyson Ritter is with them and is hanging out inside Connor Daly's pit. So first off, welcome to IndyCar. Good to see you.
It's good to be here, man. Thanks, man.
Obviously, you guys have been around this series a little bit, but I'm curious just in terms of in pit road here and watching. You know, you're a member of a band, and so you know a little bit about teamwork and that kind of thing. How much introduction or time did you have around racing when you grew up in Oklahoma?
My dad used to be a very pro stock drag racer. We did sort of the farm leagues for a while, so speed is in my blood, and we got bid out there at Carb Day. For the 500, and had a great sit down over a bottle of wine with Mr. Connor Daly, and man, he is just he just represents the sport so well on and off the track. And they said they needed a rap for Music City, and then
figured
one thing
you guys.
led to another.
I knew you had the bug because Oklahoma is. I mean, there's a lot of racing that goes on in your home state of Oklahoma
There
as well
is,
as
man.
Chicago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we're fast out there in that Bible Belt. So yeah, it's good. It's good.
Now you also have done the fastest seat in sports, have you not? Have you actually sat in there and had the pleasure of being whipped around in one of these cars?
Yeah, I told that driver he was being sweet.
That was Davey Hamilton, I think.
Oh, yeah, Davey was nice too, but man, he could have stepped on it some more, but I got the bug there, for sure. I hope Connor lets me take this thing out.
Hey, I'm curious of this. You grew up in Stillwater. My entire life I've seen T-shirts that say that Eskimo Joe's is Stillwater's jumping little juke joint. Is that true?
You know, I think it's jumped around so much the T-shirt's bigger than the bar. But yeah, no, it's a local proprietor, man. He made that T-shirt wrap around the world. I think it was a number 2 shirt next to Planet Hollywood, London or something.
I mean, I'm telling you, you see him absolutely everywhere, right? Along with the All-American Rejects, which obviously you guys are now a little bit of everywhere. You hear you guys everywhere, and it's always good to see you here at a racetrack. And I know you're going to have fun this weekend.
Oh, we're going to have fun this weekend. I think we're going to step into next season with some fervor, too, man. We're not leaving IndyCar for any time soon, man.
That's what we want to hear, man. We look forward to seeing you again.
Cheers, man. Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it. Again, Tyson Ritter, the All-American Rejects, will be performing here at Nashville Super Speedway this weekend as part of this celebration to end the year, Mark.
You know, Davey, bottom line is usually if you can just get them here, get them a taste of it, they're hooked.
Yeah, it's great news, really. He's such a good guy, too. Had a lot of fun. We hung out and was able to talk quite a bit. And I knew that he loved this game. Obviously, the 500 was very impressive to him when he was playing there. And then seeing him on a car right now, and then just hearing him right there saying, hey, we're not going away. We love this game, man. We want more of it. So, man, hats off to him. Thanks for being here, number one. My daughter, for one, she came a large part of him playing tomorrow in that band playing tomorrow, so it's she's excited about hearing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And we mentioned earlier that Jake Query had talked to Larry Floyd about homes for troops. Well, earlier today, Jake Query caught up in the pit lane during the practice session this morning with the guest this weekend, a very special guest, a great story involving homes for troops.
You know, sometimes you come across people on pit road that you just immediately know it's going to be an honor to speak to, and that includes my next guest, who is here as a guest of AJ Foyt Racing and watching over the pit stall of Santino Ferrucci, and it's all part of Homes for Our Troops. Will Thomas was injured in combat, I believe in Afghanistan in 2012 with the United States Army, correct?
Correct.
And you obviously, you have the Purple Heart. You were injured, and now take me through the program that has you here listening to the information from Santino Ferrucci and the fact when I said, what's your hometown? And you said, you mean what it's about to be? I love it. Take me through it.
So Homes for Our Troops, what they do is they build homes for combat and severely wounded veterans. We are about to get our home September 20th, September 20th of this month. I cannot wait. It's been a dream come true. I've been waiting for a very long time. We just moved from Houston to come here. We did that trip about 2 days ago. It was a long trip, but we finally got here.
How did you find out about this program, Will? And for those, because we were on radio, I mean, you lost your right leg in combat, and now obviously you're going to get that home that's going to help you just in terms of maneuverability and have that permanent residence. But how did you find out about the program of Homes for Our Troops?
So other buddies that had gotten injured as well. So they had gotten homes through Homes for Our Troops. And so what ended up happening is they were like, you know, you should reach out to this program, see if they can help you in a way. And sure enough, that's what I did. I ended up reaching out about 3 years ago. And we ended up finally getting invited to a conference about a year ago. And now the build's about to be completed.
I can see the relief and as well the joy on your face from this. How long a process has this been in waiting for this dream to become a reality?
Oh gosh, since I've been injured. So I would say since 2012, you know. I picked up and we moved to Houston, but Houston was never home. So I'm from the Nashville area. I was born and raised in the Nashville area, and I always wanted to get back home, and I wanted to find a way to get back home. So I was able to reach out to Homes for Our Troops, and they were able to bring me back here.
Santino Ferrucci's a driver that has an exciting driving style, and people often talk about the bravery that goes into those drivers. That bravery compels in comparison to what you went through, and also in addition to that, just the overall pride that myself, all of us at INDYCAR Radio, and the rest of the United States have in your contribution is greatly appreciated. It is well-deserved, and I hope you enjoy every moment in that new home.
Thank you so much.
Will Thomas from the United States Army, who will get his home in September, part of Homes for Our Troops, and as a result of that, a guest here in the pit stall for AJ Foyt Racing and Santino Ferrucci.
Yeah, it's a great story. Congratulations to Larry Foyt and that entire organization for their involvement in that tremendous program.
Yeah, really good program, obviously. And AJ and Larry and the Foyt team been part of that for a long time with ABC Supply. And I think they're going to do more and more of it, maybe hopefully outside just the Indy 500, to be able to promote and help all of our veterans. Obviously, the Memorial Weekend at Indy 500. Talk about military and appreciation. That's the best one ever.
So we know two grooves exist. You say that some are brave enough to try three. My question is this. If you get to the point to where you venture up there, especially late in a run, is there a danger of getting into marbles up there?
Yeah, no, it needs to be early. You need to do it on the very start of the race or after the sweepers potentially go out after a yellow if that's the case. But you want to do it early on when it's clean. The guys are going to do it. We talked about him. Connor Daly, number one. I mean, I think he'd be the guy to really give it a run. Maybe Rasmussen, he's another one that's probably not scared to go up there. There's a few other ones I'm not mentioning just because, you know, all these guys are really good drivers. But there's a few guys that could go venture up there and see if they can make up some spots.
Well, the one thing we have not revisited that we should is something that was brought up, and after it happened, we had a couple of drivers comment on it, and just how incredibly difficult. Alex Palou spun exiting the pits earlier today, and then we talked to a couple of drivers following that, and they said the entrance and the exit is not as easy as you might think.
The exit, going onto the racetrack, I should say, getting back onto the track is the most difficult one I think I've ever dealt with, because it's just not a standard round corner. It's like really tight going into the turn one part of it. Then it goes straight, then it gets really tight again. It was just really hard to get a momentum through there, really hard to keep the speed proper through there. We've seen Alex Palou make a little mistake down there, easy to spin. And pretty amazing. It's just very, very hard. And then even the pit in, it's a little bit easier, but it's flat and it's slick. And this track is, like I say, one of the most challenging of getting in and out of that pit spot.
Other than, the Firestone Firehawks, and as we mentioned, the compound they use for that Highline session, totally different from what they will use in the race. Any other adjustments that they needed to make to that race car after those two 15-minute sessions?
Yeah, I think maybe a ride height potentially. They may already did that before they came out, because they are going to be full of fuel right now where they might not have been for that Highline practice. They're going to be full of fuel, just like they are for the green flag of the race. The other thing that some of these teams may work on is in and out of that pit lane we just talked about there. They're going to do sim pit stops throughout this, sometimes during this run, to come in and get their guys used to where their pit box is, how, to just get comfortable changing the tires. And that will, like I say, give all these drivers a little bit of a chance of trying to charge those pit in and pit outs to make up as much time as they can.
It's a long pit lane, most assuredly, and there are 3 lanes coming our way, which is to the front straight of the racetrack. But the fact remains that because of the fact that there are 27 cars, those pit boxes are unusually tight.
Yeah, they are. Little extra room, especially this week over Milwaukee last week, where they were really, really tight. This year, they have spread them out a little bit more. There is some more room here, but they are the same thing, very tight. Got to be careful there. Got to respect each other. Got to make sure that you're, just the incident between DiFrancesco and Frucci there, just in that final high groove, or there was a low groove warm up where he had a little bit of contact in pit lane just because the boxes are so tight. These are easier, but still you need to hit it right on spot. And I think we've seen Scott Dixon go in and out already once. We've seen a Prima car. I'm sorry, one of the McLaren cars go in and out. So that is going to be part of this practice session.
If you're going to do well on race day, you simply can't just plan on running by yourself out here.
No, that's right. The fastest car doesn't always win, so the speeds doesn't really mean everything here. Running out there by yourself doesn't mean anything. You need to get in traffic, feel what that car is going to be like in dirty air. And one thing, with the cars of today is you can run close, pretty close, right behind the guy. Yeah, you may lose a little bit of air, you may push a little bit, but that doesn't mean you can't get right behind him within a car length and really push and get a long train going, nose to tail with these cars. And that's something else that they're going to be working on right here in this session. We've just seen somebody try that outside, seemed to work. They made the pass, going down this D-shaped front straightaway. A little hard to pass there too, because if you're on the outside of that, you are you're taking more room. And say right now we see on board with Stingray Rob, cars right behind it, but like I say, speeds don't mean everything, but you want to be as fast as you can.
Primaries, alternates, conversations typically reserved for road and street courses, but it's the case again this year.
different strategies that you saw, so I think that's why it was so successful.
Any added stress? Obviously, you do this throughout the season on the road and street courses, but to do this and put together an alternate package for a super speedway.
So it can be a little bit more. You can end up having a little bit more investment that goes into testing. Now we have different specs to manage. Instead of having 4 different tires on the car, it's more similar to what we have at road courses now, where we have 4 primary tires, 4 alternate tires. That's 2 different left side compounds and 2 different right side compounds. So it is a lot to manage, but our team flawlessly executes on this.
Long story, as we work through this race weekend, how do you foresee the wear on these tires? About the same as last year. Obviously, we've been through a winter, but it's obviously no concern with you guys at this point.
Yeah, this is a very seasoned racetrack, so just like some of us in the paddock, it's been around a little bit, so we know how the paddock or the series interacts with the tires. Cars are pretty similar to what we had last year. There's a little bit of downforce changes in the rules, so instead of having the underbody downforce, now it's on the wings, so there's going to be a little bit different performance, but not enough to really affect tire wear.
Good stuff, Michael Young and Kara Kristalik. And Davey, I think it's great plans. Great way to wrap up the season and adding a little something to the pit strategy.
You know, Kara, she is so wise and so updated on exactly everything they do to these Firestone tires to make it, you know, better for all of our racing, and that's very important to them. And it's really good that she gives us really the insight of what to expect. But you never know until you get on track and these cars fill them and what tires are the best, what tires are faster. It's all how long they last during the run, so it's going to be fun tomorrow watching that strategy play out.
First 7 minutes of the session, David Maluka's fastest at 196.631. Christian Lundgaard at 195.970. Paddle Award 195.636. Santino Ferrucci at a 195.605. Then Kyle Kirkwood completes the top 5. Marcus Armstrong, Alex Palou, Nolan Siegel, Christian Rasmussen, Scott McLaughlin. Top 10, Stingray Robbie 11th, Connor Daly 12th, Robert Schwartzman is 13th, Ritas VK is 14th. 15th is Will Powers, 16th Devlin D. Francesco Colton, Herta 17th. 18th Alexander Rossi, 19th Louis Foster, 20th Felix Rosenquist, 21st Jacob Abel, 22nd Callum Eilon, 23rd Marcus Ericsson, 24th Giffen Simpson, 25th Joseph Newgarden, 26th Graham Rahal, and 27th fastest right now is Scott Dixon. Interesting to note, you talked about the tire tag last weekend at Milwaukee. Davey, we were looking at what, 3.5 seconds over the course of a run?
Yeah, no, it was a massive amount. Yeah, you're right, 3.5 seconds. But the biggest thing was, it did after about 5 laps. You seen the speed starting to fall dramatically. They had plenty of fuel to go like 70 laps, but they were only doing 50 because at 50 laps they're 3.5 seconds slower, so they had to do it.
Go to Michael Young.
Race strategist for Pato Award, Nick Snyder, joins us. What's Pato saying about the car during this final session?
Nothing yet. He's been pretty quiet, just letting him run around right now, and he's passing cars, so he seems pretty happy.
I think it's great. He said you have to have big kahunas, if you will, to drive around this track. You guys have really dialed this car in. I think you've risen to the occasion this entire season. How has Pato gelled with not only Christian but Nolan?
He's doing a great job. I think bringing Christian to the table, bringing Nolan here, it's helped elevate everybody's game. So I think we've got a really good group right now.
Talk a little bit about the difficulties of getting through turn 4 and that big bump there. How long did it take for you guys to dial it in? From what we heard from Pato, sounds like he's very happy with the car.
Yeah, we did some shaker work in the offseason here, focusing on that bump, and I think we found some good stuff. So kudos to our engineers. I think they nailed it.
They certainly did. We'll let you get back to it. Thank you for the time. Best of luck tomorrow, and congratulations on the pole.
Thank you very much.
It's Nick Snyder, race strategist for Pato Award.
Yeah, talk about that shaker work in the offseason.
Yeah.
And you talk about, Davey, you hear these teams and what they've got, you know, announcements coming up in a couple of weeks or in a month or so. In this, I mean, there's no quote-unquote off-season.
No, it starts. Matter of fact, I have seen, you know, usually this time of year, some people may get laid off. You know, there's not a lot going on. You know, the season doesn't start for a long time. You got like 6-month off season. But I think Ganassi had already put a deal out where they're looking for quite a few different employees. They're moving forward. They're getting after it. They're getting prepared for next year, and that's good to see.
50 minutes remaining in the session. David Malukas continues to set the pace at 196.631. Anything interesting through the first 10 minutes of the session?
Yeah, not really. Just kind of watching where everybody's running. They're all taking that low line. Yeah, they're not going up where they did the second line or the outside high groove break-in line. They're pretty much in the bottom right now, which is interesting. But I think once we see the tires start to wear out. I think on new tires, everybody's going to be kind of follow the leader around here, kind of following and just waiting for the car in front of you. You hope to maybe the balance change where they have to lift a little bit and you're going to pass them on that outside. So it's going to be interesting to see that as well. We need to keep an eye on that. Just to, you know, a lot of questions are going to be asked between now and tomorrow's race on, you know, exactly how many laps each of these cars can go on fuel, how many laps before their tire falls off, and what if they have that 3 or 4 lap or pit stop strategy.
I know you got literally reams and reams of data. All of these teams do. My question is, you talk about the challenges and the difference of a course in terms of setting up a race car, and while certainly this track differs mightily from the Milwaukee Mile, I'm just wondering how big of a challenge it is for these teams when the conditions are so vastly different. The wind and the heat and the humidity and all of that.
That is where they absolutely just have to go back to that logbook that they have of all the different races, all the different styles, even here last year. I think it's I think it was wise for that Aero McLaren team to go put a car in a shake rig and really focus on that bump right there. I think that is the success to obviously their speed, and I think that could be success to, you know, long runs and challenging to that huge bump in turn 4 for a race win. So very smart. I'm sure some other teams tried to simulate that or come here and test that bump, but when you think you get it perfected to get over that bump without the car really moving around, that's key.
48 minutes remaining in this session. Scott Dixon has gone to P1 at 196.747. David Malukas, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, and Pato Award the top 5. Ferrucci is 6th fastest. Kyle Kirkwood, Marcus Armstrong, Alex Palou, and Nolan Siegel. Christian Rasmussen 11th. 12th Scott McLaughlin. 13th Alexander Rossi. 14th Stingray Robb. 15th Will Power, 16th Daly, 17th Schwartzman, 18th VK, Devlin DeFrancesco, 19th, Herta 20th, Louis Foster 21st, Erickson 22nd, Rosenquist 23rd, then Abel, Eilert, Simpson, and Rahal, Michael Young.
Yeah, down on pit lane was watching Connor Daly and Huko's Hollinger Racing crew changing the rear springs on that car, and noticed Will Power come in, and the crew started to comb over the right side of the car. I moseyed on over and noticed that there are no Firestones left on that front right tire, and they're looking at the right rear as well. So it looks as if some point on this racetrack Will Power got into the wall. Doesn't look like there's any damage. They're just now taking the right side pod off of that car, but certainly combing through the number 12, making sure there's no damage.
Plenty of reflection on the 2025 campaign. That always happens when you get to the end of a season. And earlier today, our Jake Query caught up with Bobby Rahal, of course, of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, to take an overall look at that team and their efforts here in 2025.
Bobby Rahal has been watching over. Graham Rahal just went back out as Bobby was watching the work they were doing on that car. Let's talk first just about the season in general for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. With Graham Rahal, obviously, Devlin DeFrancesco, and Louis Foster. Your overall assessment of the season?
Well, I think for sure our pace on road courses, straight courses is stronger than even last year, and last year wasn't bad, especially on the road courses. I think just as of after, trying to remember what road course was, 2 races ago, we had as many top 6 qualifying positions as Roger.
Is that Portland, maybe?
Portland, yeah. So, Graham did a good race there, ended up 4th. So, I think the pace on road courses, street courses, was not bad. We had some issues, some reliability issues and pit stop issues, but all in all, I'm generally pleased with road course, street course. Ovals, we still have work to do for sure, but better than last year. So, hopefully we'll have a good race this weekend and a good way to end the year, and then look forward to next.
This particular oval in Nashville, Bobby, how similar, if at all, is it to just overall grip and maybe feel from what you had in Milwaukee and can move over, if at all?
Oh, I think this got more grip than Milwaukee. Being banked like it does, like it is, I should say, that always helps that. But, here there's that bump in between 3 and 4 that I think everybody has to work around. And now we got 2 different types of tires, which we didn't have in Milwaukee. We have red sidewall, black sidewall. So that makes things a little more interesting. As I say, we had a guy in the front row at Indy. That's not too bad either. So, we led 70 laps at Indianapolis. So, not a bad performance there, but just need a little bit of luck, a little bit of, not make mistakes. But we've got the pace, and that's the most important thing. So just have to, finish the job like we did at Portland with Graham. It was a really good run for us, and did a great job.
And that was Takuma Sato, who joined you in Indianapolis, ran very strong, in particular at the outset of that race. Let's talk lastly about next year for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. This year you had Graham Rahal, you had Devlin DeFrancesco, and Louis Foster. Of that trio, you anticipate how many returning next year?
Well, I think right now probably all of them. Certainly Louis, I should say, will be back with us. Graham, he's got another couple of years on his agreement, and Devlin's done, has had some decent races, so my expectations will probably be the same. Probably run a fourth car at Indy again. We'll see. Not sure who will drive that yet, but we'd sort of like to see Takuma back in it, that's for sure.
Always good to see you, Bobby. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, a notable addition to the management structure of that team, Davey, is when they made the announcement that they were adding Jay Fry.
Yeah, that's right. Jay Fry was able, had issues at the Speedway and no longer there. And weeks later, they announced that he's running the Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan team. What a great guy. He's done teams before. He knows what he's doing. So, I expect Jay and that team to probably mold together and figure it out fairly quickly, and I foresee nothing but good things coming out of that team. And it sounds like the same driver rosters we talked about before. And Takuma at Indy, that guy's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is very tough. He made a little bit of a mistake there and put him back a little bit, but he had a chance of winning that race again. So they have a good driver lineup. They just need to be a little bit faster, mostly on the ovals.
So Scott Dixon, 197, 872, David Malukas, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, Paddle Award. The top five as the final practice session has about 43 minutes remaining in it. Let's go back to pit lane, check in with Michael Young.
Yeah, the Rookie of the Year honors still up for grabs. Of course, Louis Foster, Robert Schwartzman still dueling that out. 8-point advantage, Louis Foster. But the best pit crew here on pit lane, that battle also raging on as well, as Scott Dixon's crew currently leads. They have a 16-point advantage over the 5 crew of Paddle Award. So just talked to Tyler Reese, who's the chief mechanic on the 9 car. Tried to get a word with him, but he said, got a lot going on here on pit lane, but they were certainly proud of what they've been able to accomplish. I said, are you guys still called the Wolfpack? He goes, that kind of died a little while ago, but if you want to call us that. I said, well, we're creatures of habit, so certainly we'll stick with the Wolfpack unless you guys can come up with something new, but something that we'll keep our eye on as well tomorrow between not only Scott Dixon and Alex Pillow, or I should say Paddle Award, and that best pit crew of 2025.
Firestone Pit Performance Award, Davey, and that's been around a while, and of late, Will Powers' team the last couple of years has been
that team really on top of it. I'm not sure who's leading right now, actually.
You just said Scott Dixon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Scott Dixon leading, which is, another veteran, obviously, another veteran team leading that, but Will Power, like you said, I know he's been pretty dominant over that for a while. So, hey, it's great that Firestone does that. It pays really, a lot of gratitude and kind of gives the team members some exposure on what good they do and how fast they are on pit lane.
So with 41 minutes remaining in this session, Scott Dixon, David Malukas, Kiffin Simpson, Joseph Newgarden, Christian Lundgaard, the top 5. Then Award, Ferrucci, Kirkwood, Daly, and Alexander Rossi. So we're looking at 197.872, 196.631, 196.628, 196.360, 195.970. All 27 cars have turned laps, and the numbers starting to mount in terms of the laps turned, Davey. Nolan Siegel has turned 40 laps in the session. Scott Dixon has turned 28. Callum Eilot's turned 30. I'm just skipping around timing and scoring right now. And DeFrancesco and Foster have each turned around 30 laps.
And looking at that lap that Scott Dixon ran, the 197.872, really not that far off. I know it was a low 222 that was on the pole of this race. So these are race sims. The speed didn't really slow down that much. Don't know exactly where they are on tires and tire wear. Pretty sure the fuel load is going to be full. But you're right. The key thing is you see how many laps that these drivers run. That tells you exactly what they're trying to do. And matter of fact, there's still 40 minutes left in this session. So another set of tires are going to go on, I'm sure, a majority of these cars to see what the longevity is.
It's fascinating to me how they're able to navigate throughout the course of this day. I mean, you stop and think about how different the conditions were in that first practice session this morning. And not only that, Davey, but how much different the setup was on the car when you're working on qualifying sims and all of those things, and just how very different that car must feel right now as to the way it did throughout the course of this
That's right,
day.
because as you talked about earlier, it was fairly cool, right, early on. The temperatures were down, handling was good, motors run good. It's been hotter and less downforce. The motor doesn't have quite as much power. They don't have quite as much power, but the track is rubbering in. So the track's getting a little bit better and better, even though the sun's out. But another thing is it's going to get even better yet for tomorrow. By the way, it's late in the day right now. The race starts at 12, like 30-ish tomorrow. So 1 o'clock area. So it's going to be, I think, cooler when the race starts tomorrow than it is right now. The race will be over by this time of day tomorrow. So the shadows have covered this front straightaway from this beautiful front grandstand. They will not have that tomorrow. So maybe a little cloud cover tomorrow. We'll see what happens. Try to cool these drivers off. And the other thing is, it's fairly hot out there. The humidity's up just a little bit. The heat's there. These drivers, this isn't much for them. They've been in much hotter conditions, especially with this canopy on. They have cool suits and so forth. But I tell you, there's a lot of hungry guys who want to win a race before the season's out.
My question is, when that race strategy session starts, is that a lengthy process? Is that something they're going to have to work long and hard on?
No, I don't think so. I think they're going to learn so much and really like make a decision, because that's one of the easier things to see. We're going to go with it. I think there's going to be a little bit of talk. Driver have a lot of input. Obviously, the engineers will. They'll look at lap speeds and say, here's the direction we're going to go. Here's the tire we're going to start on. And let's just make that and go with it. Now, as strategists, that's one thing that, I was with a team several times, and, the meetings went extremely long because all these hypotheticals were coming into play. Well, what if yellow cup comes out of lap 2? What if one comes out of lap 6? What if one comes out of lap 20? Well, that's all hypothetical. You got to tackle those when the time comes, especially as a strategist. That's one reason they have to think quick. They got to be prepared and ready for changes like that, and then just kind of prepare for that. You have your dead numbers that you have to pit on certain numbers for fuel. You have to count backwards and see what the last pit stop you have to make. But I think that's going to be fairly easy for them to decide after this warm-up session which tire to start on and kind of a strategy to go with.
A lot of different scenarios you have to prepare for, too. Cautions, things of that nature.
Yeah, well, and another thing that you always do is you look at the history of the race, right? So they're going to go back to last year's race, and they're going to look at the history of it, on how many yellows, what kind of pace. I just wrote down right now a Dixon at a 197.8. I'm going to keep that on my notes just to see what strategy or what pace tomorrow they run, how fast they get going. And just, obviously I can't tell because I don't know where they all are right here on fuel, but I asked a few teams, a Chevrolet team and a Honda team especially, how far can you go on fuel, and do tires watch it? So it's going to be interesting to see that. And once we get that figured out, we'll put a strategy together. I still think not a straightforward three-stopper by any stretch, but I think a three-stop.
You've been spot on, I think, throughout most of the season, so we anticipate you being able to get it all sorted out, that's for sure, and sharing it, most importantly, in a manner in which everyone can understand it. That's the cool part of it. Well, one of the cool parts of this job is getting to know some amazing people, and one of them is Michael Crawford, who is the spotter for David Malukas, and we spent a few minutes together earlier today to talk about his incredible career in motorsports and the fact that he left it for a while and what brought him back. He's high atop the grandstand right now up with the rest of his spotters. We talk about that brotherhood that they have up there as well. And here's our conversations earlier today with the spotter for David Malukas, Michael Crawford. 1996, I'm a young pit reporter. I'm pestering the PR guy for Dr. Jack Miller, and that guy happens to be Michael Crawford. And here we are 30 years later.
It's crazy. It's been a great ride. What a great sport.
So talk about the early days of your career. My gosh, I remember the first 15 years or so, you did a little bit of everything in TT, IndyCar Series action, and also Indy Next, which was Indy Lights at that time.
I guess you're right. I have done just a little bit of everything. I started at the Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and traveled around with SCCA, IMSA, and then INDYCAR, and then jumped out of the frying pan and into the fire and went to work for a guy named Tom Kelly in Kelly Racing in the IRL days. And then a guy named Sam Schmidt, spent some time at PDM Racing with a guy named Sam Hornish Jr. And eventually I left Sam Schmidt. He helped me start an Indy Lights team, 2005 to 2010. Met my now wife. She got pregnant. She works for Sam Schmidt, has for 25 years. And when she got pregnant, we kind of came to a crossroads. And I basically left motorsports for 15 years.
And what brought you back?
Well, I was spotting at Daytona and Indy all those years when I was a professor at Marion University and helping raise our children. And I love the sport, Mark. Always loved the sport. And funny thing, my wife actually got me back into the sport. Ganassi grew to 5 cars in 2024, and she called Taylor Kyle and said, Taylor, what do I need to do to get my husband considered for this job? And he laughed, and he said, I think you just did.
I should make mention prior to that you were in the academic world.
Well, yes. When Myra got pregnant, I went to work for Marion University, and I taught business and entrepreneurship for 13 years.
So now that you've been on the spotter stand for a couple of years, share with the folks what some of the challenges are to being a spotter in the IndyCar series.
Well, the spotting all started when I was working for Sam Schmidt, and we did 200 oval rookie tests while I was at his team, and won his first Indy Lights championship. And I realized that there was an opportunity to stand up on the roof and help keep drivers safe, and also help them pass a rookie test and just sort of navigate around these various ovals, because they're all unique, as you well know. And so I've been up on the spotter stand since I went to work for Sam in 2003. So I guess I've been up on the spotter stand for about 22 years, both at Indy. Worked with Ed Carpenter for 6 years, saw him sit on the pole and finish second at Indy. And yeah, I'm now back up on the roof. I was full-time last year with Ganassi, with Kiffin Simpson, and I'm delighted to be chasing David Malukas around this year for Foyt.
The challenge has to be when you first switch drivers is figuring out what they want from you and when, because every driver wants something different.
You couldn't have said it any better. They're like racehorses, and I'm a jockey. And I'm trying to understand, should I be using the whip? Should I be holding the horse back? Each and every driver's different, and you try to get to know them and understand, do they need urging? Do they need to be held back? Encouragement? Some guys and gals, they're just like, hey, don't talk to me at all. And others, they want you to paint a picture. And you have to get to know your driver to build that chemistry, because you've got their lives in your hands.
Like you, David Hunt, my good friend and your good friend, been doing this a long, long time. And David and I talked last year, I believe it was, and shared what a fraternity there is. It's very, very similar to the drivers. You guys all want to beat each other. But by the same token, the relationship and the mutual respect is healthy.
Well, absolutely. I started spotting all those years ago, and so I know all of these people. But when I got up on the roof at all of the races last year, they couldn't have been any more welcoming. It is a really tight-knit unit of people that go to all of the races. And I see that again this year. And I'm just delighted to know them. We cheer for each other. Very competitive, as you said. But last week, when Packy Wheeler spotted the win at Milwaukee, everyone congratulated him.
It was interesting earlier today. Davey and I were talking. We listened to the interviews post-practice and post-qualifying. David Malukas, and the level of confidence that kid feels now just in a year or so is amazing.
Oh, it's truly amazing. The first 4 races of the year, I was worried about what I'd gotten myself into. He even said it about 10 minutes ago. We were laughing about the first 4 races. He was terrible. The car was at the back of the pack. He was challenged. His confidence was very low. We picked up a new sponsor, Clariance, at the Indy 500, and since Clariance has been on the car, and I mean this sincerely, since they showed up, David's been at the front of the pack. He finished second at Indy, shows up at Detroit, runs it up front. He's been up front all year since the month of May.
What's this last practice session? What kind of challenges does this present for you guys?
It's really going to be looking for that balance of the race car and how much downforce and how do we stay out front but be ready for the turbulent air that's going to come in traffic.
To call you a friend is my honor. I've known you a long, long time, and I appreciate you a great deal.
Oh, my goodness. The pleasure is all mine, and I hope you know that. Thank you so much.
That's Michael Crawford. He's a spotter for David Malukas.
Yeah, I appreciate Michael. Came up a little early during the downtime. We spent some time together and told some stories for sure. And Davey, a wild moment for the the Fold Center Paddle Award.
Yeah, we'll start with that. Pato got in on the outside of one of the cars, looks like Ericsson maybe, and just got up a little bit high. I think the marbles might be generated up in that second and a half groove. And did a really good job saving that car. He had about 2 or 3 saves. He was up there pretty high. Kept it out of that wall. What a great job. I mean, he had about 4 different saves right there. And by the way, he didn't come in. No, he just kept going, cleaned those tires off, and made another good lap. And that, what a great job with Michael Crawford. We've all known him a long, long time. He's done a great job. Known, you know, like he said, his wife's with Sam for 25 years, and I appreciate what they do. And you know, he hit nail on the head on so many things, and from different drivers and what they go through. And you know, you see drivers that are super fast but crash a lot right off. You see drivers that he just said, Lucas, like, he goes, what did I get into? You know, this guy's not very good, and all of a sudden he's the guy to beat. So, but it took, you know, he's all part of it. Another thing, he mentioned that Packy Wheeler, which, you know, he's been around a long time too. Packy's been a good friend for a long time and spotted for a lot of different people. And he did spot. He got a win last week. He's been with Ed Carpenter quite a while with Rasmussen. Unfortunately, Rasmussen didn't listen to him at all that last session. Because Packy was trying to slow him down, saying, we got this covered, don't take any risk. But he was driving like a wild man, like we talked about. He had 10 crashes or more in that last stint, but never hit anything. So good job. He won. Congratulate him, and he really did do a good job, but boy, he did it at a very high risk.
Teams are free to work on hot pit stops, get themselves race ready for tomorrow. Scott Dixon, Michael Young, currently third fastest at 197.872.
Yeah, big swing for that team. They actually went 4 flats, and by that I mean with the nut that they adjust the ride height of the car, they moved the flat 4 times and actually raised the left rear of that car. They also changed the rear springs. That's exactly what Connor Daly's doing as well. They adjusted those springs and actually raised the right height of his left rear as well. So trying to find that even balance that these drivers are looking for through this final practice, and I think they're also starting to realize this tire fall off and what the car will do over a long run and making adjustments accordingly.
And Michael, these push rods are a little different. They change them on what the thread is. But 4 flats in my day was about 80 thousandths. That's 4 flats was a fairly good turn-in. But you think about 80 thousandths, that's not very much, but it's a lot for these cars when you're talking ride height. So it may be a little different from that, just depending on what push rod, what thread they use, what angles the rocker arms are, and things like that. But just to give the listener an idea, that's, you know, in that 80 thousandths range of ride height, which makes all the difference in the world.
We can go through the full field for you now. David Malukas at 198.234. Joseph Newgarden, 198.078. Scott Dixon at 197.872. Kyle Kirkwood at 197.716. Alex Below at 197.443. Marcus Armstrong, 197.412. Kiffin Simpson at 197.369. Scott McLaughlin, 196.464. Paddle Award, 196.242. Robert Schwartzman, 10th fastest at 196.021. Christian Lundgaard, 195.970. Will Power at a 195.835. Santino Ferrucci at a 195.784. 15th fastest is Connor Daly at a 195.413. The top 15, Alexander Rossi, 195.366. Colton Herta is 16th fastest, 195.193. And Davey, you're watching them pouring over the Gainbridge machine.
Yeah, and big changes. All 4 springs are being changed on that car. That's usually a wholesale change when you change all 4 of them. Now, they could be going to a completely different setup just to try it. Obviously, the speed doesn't look really that great right now in that 16th spot, as you just said. So when I see them change all 4 springs, that tells me they're still hunting a little bit. That's not normal.
17th fastest, Nolan Siegel at 194.985. Christian Rasmussen at 194.936. Ritas VK at 194.692. Devlin DiFrancesco, 20th fastest at 194.658. Marcus Ericsson, 194.416. Callum Eilert, 22nd fastest at 194.307. Stingray Robb, 23rd fastest, 194.272. Jacob Abel, 24th fastest at 193.431. Louis Foster, 25th at 193.037. Felix Rosenquist, 26th fastest at 192.730. And Graham Rahal at 189.405, 27th fastest. So it goes like this, Davey. Now Marcus Armstrong has jumped to P1. 198.428 down to Graham Rahal at 189.405.
Yeah, I mean, pretty good speeds up top there. 59 laps for David Malukas. I think he's ran the most, 58 for Lundgaard. So they're obviously doing those long runs. 63 laps for Rossi, obviously another long one. Not a lot of speed out of that car, but it's not all about speed. It really isn't. It's about getting that car comfortable over long runs. Really anxious to talk to some of these teams and drivers, just see what the degradation of the tires are, see if if the reds last the full fuel stint or if they don't, how far they fall off, and that's going to make it fun, man. Anytime you think you got to figure it out strategy-wise, and the league says, we're going to throw something at you here. They're doing this with this alternate tire again. for the second time here at Nashville.
25 minutes to go. Let's go back to Michael Young.
Yeah, Matt Johnson working on the front wing of Will Power. Just had a chance to speak with them. They've actually got their second backup wing that they have been working on. That their first backup is set up identically to the one that's actually on the car, but they have added more downforce to the front wing of that second backup. Reason being, if they want to make a quick change and get Will's a little more comfortable with that front bite, a little more grip in that front end of that car, they can do so by simply changing the front wing and not taking all that time having to change the angle of that front wing and that element on that car.
So looking at some of the numbers, Alexander Rossi has turned 66 laps in this session. Nolan Siegel has turned 55 laps. 62 turn for David Malukas, 60 for Alex Palou. In the high 50s, McLaughlin, Schwartzman, Lundgaard, Will Power, they've all turned around 60 laps.
Yeah, that's right. And we look, some surprising times on the bottom. We're going to pick it right up from last week's winner. Rasmussen in that 19th spot, Herta in the 18th spot, Rossi, who ran good in that ECR car, in the 17th spot. So a lot of guys still working on a lot of things.
Jake Query.
It's funny, we began this session, I was talking about Marcus Armstrong and the fact that in qualifying, Marcus Armstrong was disappointed. Felix Rosenqvist was very happy in terms of that Meyer-Shank Racing team. And now, as Marcus Armstrong sits here along pit road, they have the softer compound red tires, a scuffed set of them on the car right now, and they're doing the proverbial look, just kind of the overall balance of the rear of the car. But look at the speed charts. Marcus Armstrong was very open about the fact after that qualifying session that he was really hoping they could utilize this practice session to dial in that car and feel the balance of it in traffic. Felix Rosenqvist has not had great speed so far in this session, but Marcus Armstrong, he has. Last I checked, he was right atop the speed chart. So what it was they were looking for in terms of the race setup, looks like they might have found it in that 66 car.
How much in terms of the draft is impacted? I mean, I'm guessing, I've been at this a while, and you'll tell me if I'm wrong, and I'm okay with that. But your opportunity to, we've got a car really high at the exit of turn number 2. That might be Nolan Siegel.
Nolan Siegel, yeah, it didn't hit hard, but it hit hard enough. That left front's off the ground right there. Right rear suspension is completely broke. What he needs to do is just come to a complete stop. That car, you don't want to do any more damage to it than it already has. And just got in a little bit high. The marbles, the guys didn't go up in that second groove and keep it clean. And so, he just needs to come to a stop. His guys need to tell him to stop right now. Yeah, he's making it worse for everything, trying to drive into the pits. He's going to continue driving, but at that point, you just stop because the damage is going to get worse and worse as he tries to motor into the pit lane, and he's going to do that.
Yeah, and that tells you how treacherous, Davey. We're getting a good look at one of these multi-screen cameras. We're looking at a racetrack in that high groove that's really dirtied up.
It's marbled up, and we've seen his teammate, Paul Ward, go up there. He was able to save it and not hit that outside wall. But, boy, his teammate, he hit it, but good. And then, like I say, when you hit the wall that hard, especially in a practice, just stop, because him banging that wheel around and banging up the rest of the gearbox, it does more damage than good, unfortunately. But that's something that hopefully the team will let him know, especially. That's a big fix. It got the side, the underwing. It's got the right front, the right rear. Didn't look like much of a hit. We sit there and watch it live, Mark, but man, it was a bigger hit than we thought.
So the point I was going to make before we got to that incident involving Nolan Siegel, explain the difference in how that draft might feel between the going into 3 and going into 1. Is there a chance to draft much because of the bend between 4 and 1?
Yeah, there is, but it's just a longer way around. So I think you set it up. I really believe that you set the passes up here starting on this front straightaway and trying to get your timing right to where you're throttled down halfway through turns 1 and 2 and try to draft that car going down the back straightaway and pass them into turn 3. But I do think it's a situation where the pass does start on the front straightaway. It's hard to pass into turn 1 and better to try to make that pass into turn 3. You're going to see a little replay right here. He's on the outside of, it looks like, Rinus VK. He goes into that second groove right there. And really not out of line. You know, I mean, that should be clean, but like I say, the marbles have already accumulated up there and didn't hit the wall that hard, but I think what did most of the damage was him continuing to drive that car and kind of tear some things up.
At what point, at one point we saw in the replay, and you could see when he knew that he was essentially along for the ride and tried to scrub as much speed off as he could.
Yeah, he did it. Like I say, he wasn't out of line at all, just the marbles got him, and that's good. And at that point, you just do your best to try to save it. But what happened with Pato, and the difference between Pato and him, Pato's back end kind of got loose to where he was able to kind of catch it and then go straight again, then catch it. Where you see Nolan's car, the front end just pushed straight up. He had a lot of wheel into the right front that pushed straight up, and it's hard to recover from when you push into the wall.
20 minutes remaining in this session. An update with Michael Young.
New gear stack for Scott Dixon. Crew feverishly working on the back end of that car. Looks like they've got that completed. Most of the cars on pit lane right now have alternate tires on. The only one that I've seen has gone to primaries as of late is Scott McLaughlin, and those are sticker primaries. So Scott McLaughlin will be back out to work those. But looking at David Malukas' car, Scott Dixon's car, Will Power's car, and Alex Pillow, everybody on those alternate tires for this final 20 minutes of practice.
Pretty busy place that pit lane during this final practice session.
Yeah, it is busy, and it's going to continue to be busy. This is the most important time of it, and it's definitely hurting Nolan because he needs the pit stop practice. He just needs all the laps. But like I say, he did take some risky move. I mean, he just went in there, and I just think the marbles are really accumulating in that second group because nobody's really going up there at this point. I think it'll change when it comes race time. The guys are going to have to go up there, I think, because, you know, you're not going to have guys in the pits, half of them out, but just unfortunate for him.
So Marcus Armstrong, late in the session, Davey, he wasn't too terribly confident overall in what he was able to glean out of the practice and qualifying session, but have to be pretty happy with his race car at this point.
Yeah, how about that? P1 right now, 198.428, really good run for Armstrong. We heard the disappointment in his voice, just knowing that he should have been faster, knowing that his car didn't perform, but you just continue to work on it. You continue to know that your car is, going to be different when it comes to race conditions, as we see Stingray Rob right now and Ferrucci battling out of pit road right now, trying to get position as Stingray Rob. Ooh, as Ferrucci kind of goes up in that second group, slides up too around the outside of Stingray Rob.
Let's go to Jay Query.
Nolan Siegel is out of that number 6 car. You had a chance to kind of look over what happened. What was your viewpoint of it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very clear. It's just there's no grip up high. I wasn't even a full lane high. I kind of cleared Renus and moved another half a lane lower, and like literally half a car high, and there's nothing. Like going down the gears completely off throttle, and just the thing wouldn't turn. So it is what it is. Learn the lesson for tomorrow, and I'll be having a great time down low tomorrow.
Well, in terms of that high line, was that really the first time that you had ventured up there to play a little bit? Were you just kind of feeling your way through it, or did it just kind of all of a sudden the grip wasn't there and it caught you?
No, I hadn't really been up there since the high line part of the session, so I wanted to try and work my way up there, and that was kind of on my checklist for this session, was to test it out and see what it's like, so that tomorrow I know whether I can go up there or not, and the answer is no.
I think everybody knows, Nolan, that this year has been about, for you and for any young driver, just learning incrementally from one weekend to the next. When you have an incident like that, how do you avoid that rattling or hurting your confidence to get in the car the next day and go out?
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't hurt my confidence at all. That was something that I was trying intentionally. And obviously I wasn't planning on hitting the wall. I wasn't expecting the grip to be that low, but it's something that's easily avoidable tomorrow, and just a lesson learned and a data point for tomorrow, really.
Better today than tomorrow, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Glad to see you're okay. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
It's Nolan Siegel, Mark.
Yeah, to get a good qualifying run for him, Davey. And let's face it, people forget just how very young this kid is. And everybody from Arrow McLaren will agree. They knew they were throwing him into the deep end when they made that decision to put him in that car. And it's a process, and there's a level of patience that is to be expected that one has to have. And I think for the most part, when there's been a mistake, like last week at Milwaukee and this week with this particular issue, he knows exactly what he did, and I think he files it in that memory bank.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, this was not really a mistake. That track is rubber. I mean, it's already marbled up in that second lane, which I'm totally surprised. That outside running just really didn't do much. Unfortunately, everybody wants to be on the bottom of this racetrack, where progressive banking is the best if you could ever get it on some of these racetracks. But some of them have had it, mostly some short track, where you can run low, middle, high. When you see another car, one of the Prima cars gets in there, and the 90 car of Schwartzman, he hits that right rear, spins, kind of gathers it up, really doesn't hurt that car very bad, but another car just slid up there in those marbles and was unable to hang on to it and smack that wall.
I'm getting the impression, Davey, that it might have been a better idea to try that high line very early on in this practice session instead of waiting until now because of how dirty that high line is.
He can't go up there right now. We'll see what happens here. He's actually one on the move, making a pass. he's not really high either. He's in that second groove, and I mean more in the bottom than the second, and it doesn't have a big hit. But one thing he does, barely touch it. He does spin around. Car doesn't look hurt, but the best thing he did, stopped. He just stopped. He's not going to break anything else trying to drive it in the pits at that point. Let them come and get the car and do minimal damage as possible as he spins right in front of another car, one of the Penske cars, and it's wheel power. And, yeah, I mean, he's not out of line. I'm just telling you, that upstairs is not good right now.
Second caution, 15 minutes, under 15 minutes remaining in this final session before we go racing tomorrow and before the NTT IndyCar Series. Indy Next by Firestone, very similar, has already crowned their champion. But, boy, there's a young driver, Nick Yeoman, who's finding some pace late in the season.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic season and a fascinating season at that, with how many drivers have kind of come and gone and crept back into contention, while maybe not being so strong early on. Obviously, as you mentioned, Dennis Hauger claimed the championship with a second-place finish at Milwaukee a week ago. But the story over the last week and a half has been this driver from Guadalajara, Mexico, Salvador de Alba, who scored his very first Indy Next by Firestone win at Milwaukee a week ago on Sunday, and then backed it up, Mark, in qualifying earlier today with a phenomenal first lap. He was skating over the bump in turns 3 and 4, but was very, very fast. So Salvador de Alba with an opportunity to close out the season with a pair of wins and try to hang around in the top 5 of the championship standings. Kyle Collette, the Brazilian, who's going to come up short, end up second in the championship when it's all said and done. He's going to start on the outside of the front row. Then you've got the two Andretti teammates of Hauger and Hughes. They've been strong all season long. And then, Mark, a really good story in row number 3 with Michael D'Orlando, who has jumped back into one of the cars fielded by Andretti JBMotorsports here for the last couple races of the season. He had a good qualifying run as well. Qualified 5th, was the fastest in the one practice session they had. So we are anticipating a very competitive race, and much like what we've seen here in IndyCar, once we go deep into a run, because they don't do pit stops, if marbles accumulate, those Indy Next drivers are going to want to try to avoid running up high, just like these IndyCar drivers.
Lots to like about Michael D'Orlando with his performance last week at Milwaukee and this week here at Nashville. Hopefully he can back that up, because Nick, for all intents and purposes, with that field, 18, 19 cars, the only driver right now that we feel like that we're 100% confirmed as to where he's going to be next year, what he's going to be doing, is Miles Rowe.
Yeah, Miles Rowe will be back with JBMotorsports, but some great digging and kind of investigative reporting by both Jake Query and Michael Young during the practice session, where we got confirmed that JBMotorsports is going to be running 4 cars. We know HMD Motorsports is going to have 4. We're going to have 2 more with Cusick Motorsports jumping in to Indy Next by Firestone. We got to confirm that Andretti Global is going to be back with 4, and it sounds like Chip Ganassi Racing, that jumped back to Indy Next by Firestone this year with 2 cars, they're looking to expand. So, yes, we don't know a whole lot about the driver lineup and market. We got to figure out where the dominoes are going to fall on the IndyCar side first. But certainly, Mark, looks like we're going to have another full field of cars and a lot of talented young prospects coming into Indy Next in 2026.
Season opener is always an exciting time, and each and every year we're going to have veterans like Miles Rowe come back, and you know, who knows what other drivers will be back. But you never know when there might be a Dennis Hauger who makes a big splash like he did at St. Pete this year.
That's the thing. Coming into this season, I think we all kind of looked at some of the returning drivers like Miles Rowe, like Josh Pearson. You know, Lockie Hughes is another youngster that came in his first year and really surprised everybody. And it was Dennis Hauger who made the jump down from Formula 2, which is one step below Formula 1 over in Europe. A lot of people said, hey, maybe shooting fish in a barrel a little bit, but he certainly earned that championship. And now Dennis Hauger going to get an opportunity, Mark, somewhere, we don't know where yet, but an opportunity at the very least to test an IndyCar, run in the Indianapolis 500 along with one additional IndyCar race, hopefully next year. A lot of these drivers that have won the Indy Next championship, though, parlay that not only into a full season effort, but oftentimes an entire career. Guys like Joseph Newgarden, Pato O'Ward, Colton Herta, they've all come up through Indy Next by Firestone, and it's been another really solid season in the Junior Formula Series here in America.
Yeah, those of us have been at this a while. A lot of familiar names on this NTT IndyCar Series timing and scoring grid. We've watched race for the past decade or so, if not more. So complete coverage begins at 10:25 local time, 11:25 Eastern for the Indy Next race. And then, of course, we'll take the air at 1 o'clock local time, 2 p.m. Eastern. So hard to believe season finales here, Davey, but should be a couple of good races tomorrow.
It's going to be a couple great races. So hopefully the fans pack into this beautiful Nashville Super Speedway to take part with us during it. But it's going to be a good ending. I hate to see it being an ending already. It seems like it's too early for IndyCar series to be over, but it is what it is. Another year gone.
Yep, and as we said, less than 11 minutes to go in this session, and Marcus Armstrong continues P1, 198.428. Now, the question being, after what we've seen over the last 10 minutes or so with a couple of drivers get to that high line, I would say for the rest of this session, my guess is not going to see too many venture up there. The question remains, will that be the case tomorrow? Does that change the thinking of those who once thought that that was doable?
Yeah, I think so. I think late in the runs, they're going to be really cautious about going up there. I think if the yellow flag comes out, the series is prepared to put sweepers out there, clean it up again, and then they'll go back up there. But I think some of the drivers are already content. I think Pato Ward's already out of his car, calling it a day. I'm pretty sure I thought I'd seen him out of that car, calling it a day, just not taking the risk, because if they've already been through their plan, you know the marbles are up there. If you can't learn anymore, just park it.
Race director Kyle Novak told me last week, the morning of the race, that he said any time that there's a caution of any length at all, we're sending the sweepers down. And quite frankly, I think it was that mindset that created an opportunity for Christian Rasmussen to make the moves he made late in that race.
Because you know the track's clean. It may not clean up every bit of marbles up there, but it makes the track really drivable. And we've seen that because so many marbles sometimes get on, just like we see right here. You can't even go up there. You're going to the wall. They'll come by those sweepers, and they go in formation, and they get that rubber moved up to the outside. If it doesn't suck it up in the sweeper trucks, they at least get it pushed to the outside. And it makes a big difference, give these drivers all the confidence in the world. I know as a driver, whenever I seen that outside clean, it gave you a lot of confidence that if you had the opportunity to go up there, if you needed to go up there, it was there for the taking.
So my question is, because of the arc of these turns, I'm guessing that's why that, you know, most of the time you see when they're on an oval and you go through, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, especially on these shorter ovals, and a lot of times the lower you can get to the racetrack, the faster you are. So why is that not the case here?
Well, it really kind of is. I mean, you're making the short line down low. It's just you want to go to that outside lane just to make passes, just in case somebody kind of gets bound up down there. Your car's free. You have better tires, whatever the case may be. You want to go to the outside group, but man, if it's not there, it's just not there.
Let's go to Jake Query.
Wanted to put a bow tie, or a tie, I guess I should say, even though he's driving a bow tie car, on Robert Schwartzman, and the fact that he had that situation, came onto pit road with that number 83 machine. They took the once-over look on it, and he did have a lot of debris on those tires, some of those marbles that had collected, but they did send him back out. So he has, Robert Schwartzman, now completed 71 laps in this practice session. It was, I believe, lap 68 where he had gotten loose, gotten a little bit high into those marbles, but not a lot of damage on the right side of that car. Did not make contact, so they gave it a once-over just to make sure. Sent him back out. Robert Schwartzman right now sitting 14th on the speed chart. He has turned 72 laps in this session.
You should have, based upon 72 laps, Davey, some of those are even higher. I see Palou at 77, McLaughlin 75, Powers 73. That should give you plenty of data by which to make your decisions and plan your process out for tomorrow.
Right, and I think the fuel mileage will be in that area. Right now, I have the laps at a 3-stopper to be at 57 laps. If you just make it equal, you've been on 57 each time. That splits it up to an even 3-stopper. So I think they go farther on fuel, which opens that window up a little bit to gamble some more. It's just all about what the dag is on these tires.
So Joseph Newgarden, how about him? He's pedaling it a little quicker now, Davey.
Wow.
He's up to 198.466.
Yeah, I mean, for a driver, we're in his hometown, obviously. He didn't have a qualifying. He didn't want. He's at it. When you're in your hometown, you definitely want to perform in your hometown. And he had a good qualifying run, but didn't really want to talk to us. Seemed pretty upset. So hopefully things are turning around for Newgarden in that P1 spot.
Newgarden 198.466. Armstrong at a 198.428. Dixon at a 198.290. David Malukas at a 198.234. Kyle Kirkwood at a 197.716. Santino Ferrucci at 197.676. McLaughlin, Palou, Simpson, and Pato Ward, the top 10. Let's go to Michael Young.
Well, with Callum Ilott just got out of medical, got high. I saw the car when he came back to the garage. Looked like some damage to that right rear. Any inclination that it was going to be bad when you went where you went?
I mean, I'd heard Nolan went a lane and a half, and it was a bit tough out there. I mean, I was overtaking a slower car. I thought they were going to back out of the corner. They didn't back out the corner. He just come out the pits, and yeah, it was on the outside, and it just took off. I released the gas quite early because I didn't want to be there, but it just carried away.
looking forward to tomorrow, will you be concerned? I mean, is that something you're going to be worried about?
No, that's fine.
Okay, very good. All right. Glad you're all right.
Thank you.
Callum Ilott out of medical center, but does have damage on that right rear.
He's about as matter of fact as they come in how he assesses situations.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that last answer really was, other than I would be worrying about it. I think it's a situation, if this race continues with no yellows, that outside lane as we see it's going to be there. Yeah, it's not going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see how that unfolds. And of course, they were adamant. A couple of drivers were adamant very early on that third groove was going to come in, but it's not going to come in if there are marbles up there. Well, let's hear from the pole sitter for tomorrow's race, Jake Query.
Pato O'Ward was in a good mood when he won the pole earlier, understandably so. Now, after this session where we went up into the high line, it seems like Pato O'Ward again in a good mood, talking to fans here. Your thoughts just overall, especially on kind of that high line and whether or not it's going to be slippery tomorrow?
The high line is working. The problem is the marbles. So after about 50 laps, or I guess once everybody's done 50 laps, 27 cars, 50 laps on, each on each set, there's a lot of marbles that get up there, and I got up there, and man, I was so close to getting onto the wall. I mean, you saw what happened in Nolan. You see other cars right now trying to explore on that high line that was working, and it's not anymore. So I think tomorrow it'll be very beneficial. The more yellows there are, the more cleaning they'll be able to do during the yellow, and I think that's going to help the racing a lot.
So when you come back on a restart, then do you have to kind of tie that in your head, how many laps there are before all of a sudden you're right back to square one and the marbles start collecting?
If they're sweeping in the yellows and there's a restart, then you can go up there. But if they don't sweep and there's a restart, you can't really go up there. You're going to be looking at the wall.
How's that 5-car feel in traffic, just with all the dirty air around?
I'm really happy with it. I think we have a very strong car. It's been strong, obviously, all week, and we're starting on pole. So super proud of everybody here at Arrow McLaren. And yeah, Team Chevy front row. That's really good for us. It's been a tough year for them. So we're going to try and get it done for all of us tomorrow.
Appreciate it, man. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Pato O'Ward.
Looks like there might be an issue with Will Power. Maybe some contact in turn number 4, Davey.
Yeah, he's made it onto pit lane. He's slowed the car down, so he's going to be able to get into the pits, no problem. But say there's contact, but all 4 tires are together. Going forward.
Jake Query.
Waiting to see when Will Power comes back into pit road here, exactly the damage on that car as I'm inside of his pit. So I wanted to clarify one thing and apologize for it for anybody that may have been confused. Earlier when there was that incident and that spin on the track, I thought it was Robert Schwartzman. Obviously it was Callum Ilott, and my eye caught the teammate car and not Robert Schwartzman. So that would be the reason why Robert Schwartzman did come in, and by the time I got down there, they had sent him back out. So my apologies for that, as Connor Daly now brings his car in, and we anticipate Will Power will be here along pit road shortly.
Boy, he got really high, Davey.
He got really high.
No man's land.
Yeah, up there in no man's land. He got in that barely. No, he's really not out of line much. He hit that bump, kind of slid him up there a little bit, and all but hit that wall, but didn't make contact. And hey, Jake, I'm with you. Those cars are identical, so trying to tell Ilott and Schwartzman apart is pretty difficult.
Yeah, we were able to put a period on that by visiting with Callum Ilott about that incident involving him. And let's get an update from the pits of Michael Young.
Just watching a lot of these teams and the alternate tires and how much of the marbles they pick up. I'm looking at Christian Lundgaard's Firestone alternate tires, and they look like almost like shag carpet. They picked up so much debris just coming down pit lane, so you could see if those cars get in that line and they get up in those marbles, those tires just collect those marbles like a magnet, and it's hard to get it off or keep control of the car. Seeing what it looks like when they come down pit lane, it is something else.
Jake Query.
And Will Power has brought that number 12 machine in. They went ahead and made a tire change to it. He has a brand new sticker set of tires. This is now the primary tire. He was on the softer compound tire before. We'll see whether or not they decide to send him back out. Doesn't look like there's any sort of structural damage on the right side of that car for Will Power, but they are now taking a look at it, and it looks like, in fact, they have taken the steering wheel off. So this session, I believe, is going to be done for Will Power, but we shall see on that. Looks like, in fact, he is about to extricate himself from that number 12 car.
How important is track time here, Davey? There's less than a minute to go, and yet almost everybody
yeah,
exits the
everybody
pits.
goes. We've seen Malukas did get going, saw that car a little bit out of pit lane. I think he saw it completely, but the hybrid start system did work, and he got fired up and got going again. But 31 seconds left. They got a few laps here. Some of the teams are just coming out and straight back in to do a pit stop practice.
Yeah, that's exactly where we are. And Will Power still in his race car. And again, that's probably what this last minute is going to be, Davey. Is going to be working on hot pit stops.
Hot pit stops. We'll see right here. They should be able to get maybe 2 in if they want. Scott Dixon, one of the first ones in. They changed that tire. There's 9 seconds to go. I think if they throw the green, yeah, he's going to go with 5 seconds left. Malukas, 2 seconds left. And it's checkered, but he went ahead and went as well. So they're just going to come right back in. So checkered flag is out.
Scott Dixon, fastest of the session, 198.759. Joseph Newgarden at a 198.466. Marcus Armstrong at a 198.428. David Malukas at a 198.234. Kyle Kirkwood at a 197.716. Those are the top 5. Ferrucci, McLaughlin, Pelot, Simpson, Award, the top 10. Power, Lundgaard, Rosenquist, Siegel, and Schwartzman, the top 15. Then Rossi, DeFrancesco, Herta, Daly, Rasmussen, Erickson, VK, Foster, Abel, Eilot, Robb, and Rahal, the 27 cars that got laps in today. Quick question for you, Davey. Do we have a first-time winner tomorrow or a repeat winner?
Gosh, I think here we're going to have a repeat winner. And I hate saying that because I really like to see a first-time winner happen tomorrow. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for that. But I think this track is going to take some experience from somebody who's been here before and got it done.
10:25 local time, 11:25 Eastern. Complete coverage of the final Indy next race of the season. Then join us for pre-race festivities at 1 o'clock local time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Flag-to-flag coverage of the NTT IndyCar Series race. What a long day it has been for us all. You, the fans especially, congratulations for staying with it. Hope you were entertained today. We certainly were. The director of IndyCar Radio is Chris Pollock. On-site engineering and production courtesy of Rick Evans. Master control operations courtesy of Corbin Lingenfelter. What a job by Jake Query and Michael Young in the pits all day long. Also thanks to Nick Yeoman for his contributions throughout the course of the day. For Davey Hamilton, this is Mark Jane saying so long until tomorrow for the Borchetta Bourbon Music City Grand Prix presented by Will Scott.